morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Connor, and you're listening to Film Talks. I'm here in my uncle's basement. Hello, Uncle Joe.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Doing good. So we are going to be talking about Wonder Woman, the new one, Wonder Woman 1984, which we watched last night. Some of us fell asleep midway through, but the two of us did not. So I think we can give an accurate review of what we thought. Ironically, the people who fell asleep were the ones who said that the movie was amazing. So I'm just going to get right into it. We're going to try and, in the beginning, try not to spoil the movie in case some people haven't seen it yet.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. And then we'll do a spoiler warning, and then we'll get into spoilers and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. We're on for this, huh? No spoilers.
No spoilers. So, initial impressions. Without spoilers, what do you think of the movie?
It wasn't as good as the first one.
Okay. And
I don't think they did the character justice for the strong female lead that she normally is.
Okay.
I didn't think I'm not gonna say I was disappointed, but I wasn't like blown away.
It was definitely different. They went for a different vibe, I thought.
Yeah.
It was more personal. They were trying to humanize the character. It wasn't as actiony as the first one. I think they changed her theme song. It was like this cool electric guitar thing,
yeah.
But this time it was like a whole big orchestra.
I mean, the major fight happened early in the movie.
Yeah.
And then
true.
I think it was all downhill. I mean, the fight scenes weren't as good as they were.
I think
in the first one.
They did that. Wonder Woman loves this thing where they follow the bullet with the camera. I think they did that 5 times.
Yeah.
And I thought the fight at the very end was so dark you couldn't even see what was happening half the time.
And it was awkward. It was awkward.
It was kind of, yes, it was weird looking. So we see Chris Pine return. That's not spoilers because you see it in the trailer. And I thought it was a different kind of movie. So if you liked Wonder Woman 1, it doesn't mean you're gonna like Wonder Woman 2.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say what we could do without spoiling. It's kind of hard because the whole movie is the thing that's weird about this movie is I felt like there was a lot of stuff that they could have shown in the beginning of the movie, but they were like, let's leave it till the end and make it like a twist. Like with Pedro Pascal's character, they gave his whole backstory at the end of the movie when you didn't care anymore. Like if you put it in the beginning, then you're like, oh, okay, this is why this guy is so bad. But they put it at the end like it was a twist when you already knew who he was at that point. You're like,
what do you think about him as cast as that character?
He was very eccentric. He was like Nicolas Cage, and I was interested.
Yeah, he was like a televangelist.
Exactly.
Like it was super, totally opposite of his Mandalorian character, where it's not like, where he's very, to the point and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Thoughtful in the words he says. And this, he just spoke just gibberish. It was typical like infomercial speaker / televangelist. I mean, this is not a spoiler, but at one point there is a televangelist on there, and he asks for his power. I mean, that's not a spoiler because televangelists are, but
we already know what they're about.
Yeah, we already know what they're about. So.
I think we can kind of talk about. So the gist of the movie is, there's a crystal, and when you talk to it, you're allowed one wish. It's like a genie in a bottle. So you say your wish to the crystal, and then you get your wish. But you lose something in return. But you don't automatically know what you've lost. You kind of have to figure it out. And it seems simple enough, but they managed to complicate it a little bit. So I say, let's just go right into spoilers. Let's just dig in.
Yeah, we gotta go into spoilers. I don't know. The spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
That's a stupid rock.
All right.
Spoilers. We're like, how long did we make it? We made it 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Without getting into spoilers.
It was longer than I thought we were gonna make.
Yeah. So
I thought. Overall, this movie was super subdued, right? It was more of a drama romance. The first one was it had that romance in it, but it was action-y. You had when she walks out of the trench and she faces down all the turrets and stuff. You had action.
Yeah.
But the action was kind of weird for me. Because
it
was it was like physics was not a part of this at all.
Yeah.
there's a lot of scenes where like I don't know if you ever seen The Flash.
Yeah,
the
I've seen
CW
The Flash.
show.
Yeah,
There's a lot of those like where she's
running and
pumping, where she's
it
pumping
looks
her
like she's in
arms.
slow motion, but she's going fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, that doesn't look right. And then in the beginning, there's this scene where she's like lassoing around, and you're like, where is she going? And she's just like Tarzaning around the mall.
Which was a great action scene, which was, I think, I mean, at the beginning when she came in, it reminded me a lot of the bank heist scene in was it the first movie? She had the bank heist?
Was that Justice League?
Or was that Justice League?
I think it was Justice League.
Okay, where she stops the bank. It was a lot. It reminds me a lot of that, and you're like, that's Wonder Woman right there. You know, a lot of really funny kind of interactions with people in the crowd, like people surprised, and obviously she's trying to hide her character, who she is. So, but I feel like every fight scene after that was just so, like, it wasn't just her. She had to rely on somebody else to make the scene like stand out.
Yeah.
Like the chase in the Middle East, like.
That was, yeah.
It was like, oh, I can't do. She was losing her powers. We go with spoilers now, right?
Yeah.
She was losing her powers, which we kind of thought was happening because they had a little. She couldn't break the lock early on. We're like, wow, why can't she break a lock?
And we were questioning.
We're questioning, like, oh, why can't she break the lock? And they go, oh, it's a really strong lock. Must be a really strong lock. Like, no, like, yeah. They mentioned that was it the monkey's paw?
Yes.
That what it is like. Yeah. To get one of your wishes, you have to give up something that you treasure most, and for her it was her powers, so she gradually lost her powers. But it was just a weird fight scene that she had to rely on her love to save her, which is not what I like about Wonder Woman. Yeah,
it was. Well, I thought kind of weird when I was watching this. I realized, you remember the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 movie?
Okay.
I got huge connections between those two movies. The original Spider-Man 2 movie, you have Tobey Maguire, and that whole movie, he's struggling whether he wants to be Spider-Man or whether he wants MJ.
Okay.
And because of that struggle, he loses his powers.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman, basically the same thing. She uses her wish to bring back her love, who we'll talk about. That was a little confusing in the beginning.
Confusing for you, I think.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, let's do it. Okay.
Confusing for you. I think everyone watching it, we're like, oh, yeah.
I think it was confusing because I had my brother on my side, and I said, hold up, was he just another person? And then he changed back to
It was
Chris
like
Pine.
Freaky Friday.
And Brennan was like, no, that didn't happen. So
yeah.
I was very confused.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was like a trick, like he was Chris Pine the whole time, and she just didn't notice him.
Yeah.
But he was actually quantum leaped into that man's body, which I felt a little weird about.
Great reference, the Quantum Leap reference, which is a great underrated show that people, if you haven't seen Quantum Leap, go back and watch Quantum Leap. It still stands the test of time. No pun intended. There. No pun intended.
But if I look at the comparisons between this and Spider-Man 2, I still feel like Spider-Man 2 kind of did it a little better. Even though Wonder Woman, it had that emotional impact, because she's like, do I want to be Wonder Woman or do I want my boyfriend, basically? And you got to choose which is which. So that's why you're going to get less of that action, because it's more of like, what makes Wonder Woman Wonder Woman? And she gives up her love to be Wonder Woman, which Spider-Man kind of doesn't do, because he does that whole movie, and he's like, do I want MJ or do I want to be Spider-Man? He gets both at the end of the movie. So, like, he didn't really lose anything. Wonder Woman, you have that kind of intense. I kind of dug it, where she loses, she gives up her wish, but she walks away from him, so she doesn't have to see him, like, die, basically, and then she kind of, like,
change
runs
back to the normal
and she's
person
like,
body.
She's, like, screaming into the wind. I'm like, I dug that.
Yeah, that was a cool part. Definitely a cool part.
So that was... You're basically getting the gist. I'm gonna check
But again, you don't have the like strong female character throughout the whole movie. It was like at the beginning, and they show like, I mean, her whole apartment is obsessive compulsive with like pictures of him. Like, I understand she loves this dude, but like
it's been like 30 years.
Yeah, like his pictures are all over the place, and it's like her whole life is based on this guy still. Like, come on, you can move on.
I think.
And then she like relies on him the whole movie until the very end. When he's like, you have to make the decision, and she's like, oh, okay, since you're telling me.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's like throwback to the very first movie where he's like, all right, I gotta go do this. You gotta go do your thing because you're more important than me. You're Wonder Woman.
It's very possible that maybe they were like, maybe they have this story that they wanted to tell, but maybe they were also kind of scared to give her a movie without him.
Yeah.
And it was just her without a love interest. I think that happens a lot, where you'll get this strong female character, and they're like, I'm kind of afraid to do this without a love interest, because then maybe we're not getting that dynamic thing out of it. I think you can do it.
Yeah.
But I think studios are a little afraid of that stuff.
Well, I think it's 2020. I mean, strong female leads are like really important to have, and I think there's other movies that have had strong female leads. Like the first one, I felt like she was like, the first one she felt out of place because like she wasn't used to like the World War II.
World War II.
She was like all this new technology. World War One.
World War One.
She was like not used to all this technology, and she felt awkward in that time. Now this time, he was the awkward one.
True.
And he didn't know. I mean, there's some really funny parts where, like, he was trying to get used to like 1984 and the dress in 1984. And they mentioned one of my favorite lines is they talk about parachute pants. He's like, "Wait, everyone parachutes now?" Like, obviously, referencing the 1980s fashion of large overinflated pants.
I was never a part of.
Which you were never a part of. I was though, but like there were some funny jokes with him about the 1980s. That really made me laugh. Some of them made me laugh. Some of them made me cringe. But
that's actually kind of interesting though. So you make the comparison that in the first one, she isn't used to society, and he's got to acclimate her.
Yeah.
But she's Wonder Woman, so she can kind of like she might socially speaking, she kind of struggles, but she still holds her own.
Because she's not used to being around men at all.
Chris Pine though, he's not Wonder Woman, so he should struggle a lot more than her. And it seemed like he's flying a plane that's like 50 years more experienced than his.
A fighter plane.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, how is that plane full of fuel?
It's true.
Like, it's in a museum. They go in a museum, and like, there's obviously video cameras there. She shows her badge, so obviously it's a record of her going in there. And they get into a plane, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's full of fuel and it works." Like, it's a museum. I can't just go in there and just fly things. I don't think that's how it works. But the cool part about that, and you called this, is that we finally got a glimpse of her invisible plane, and she used her powers kind of like they did to keep their island hidden. And she said, the only thing I ever did this with was a coffee cup. And I think sometimes in necessity comes the greatest, triumphs or inventions. And so she had to do it because there's a funny part. He's like, "Oh, the way I fly, they won't ever detect me." And she's like, there's this thing called radar. So another reference he didn't get. So,
True.
Yeah.
But they were able to
get away. Yeah. That was a really cool scene, though. Despite the, hey, this plane flies and it's full of fuel and takes me all the way. And
then they fly through fireworks because that's totally not
why? Yeah, why? They're like in the middle of like, hey, we have to get there as fast as we can.
Let's go look at this.
But it's July 4th. Let's go look at some fireworks.
Yep, that's
such a weird.
That sounds perfect.
Weird, and doesn't sound safe either.
No.
Yeah, it's flying through explosives doesn't sound safe.
I think that's maybe the thing that could frustrate most people is that because they tried to make it more of a drama romance.
It was like a love.
Yeah.
Do you feel it was more love than it was action? Or was it a good combination of both?
Well, okay, so I think...
Am I supposed to be asking questions or are you asking questions?
We'll go back and forth. I definitely think there was a lot of love drama. It was definitely a drama for me, right?
Okay.
It was because kind of like those Dark Knight movies where there's action in it, but it's mostly like, it's all about the characters and all that stuff, which I didn't mind. I kind of liked that the action was toned down. I'm not a big fan of like the big jumps and the swinging and all that. Like the fight in the White House was actually kind of entertaining for me. But I think because the action scenes were toned down and there were less of them, it'd be a little bit of a shock for most people because they're going in to see Wonder Woman kick some butt. Yeah. But they're seeing Wonder Woman kiss some guy. Yeah. And there was a lot of kissing in this movie.
There was a lot of romance in this movie. And even I didn't understand her losing her powers because sometimes she was really strong.
Yeah.
And other times you're like, okay, is she losing her powers? Like, she got shot and she started to bleed, which you normally don't see. And but other times she was able to push tanks off of her. She was able to like lasso. So was it like she had like bursts of power? If she used it too fast,
that is kind of weird.
They went away. Like you're like, because the other character in the movie, who eventually Kristen Wiig's character, like instantly changed and got more powerful.
Exactly.
And it seemed like hers was over time. Like, oh, I'm gonna lose my powers over time. But she was like a jerk right away.
Yeah.
like she lost her like compassion, her love.
That was
and, like,
also losing compassion is a little bit of a
yeah,
cop-out,
that's
really.
yeah.
Like, that's all you lose. I'll give that up. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll be a superpower
To become a super, she wishes to be like Diana, which who wouldn't? Because she's like this amazing human being who can walk in heels, which was such a weird reference multiple times. Like,
heels.
Like she can walk in heels. I want that power. Like that's not like. Wow.
Maybe
like
it's hard. I've never tried.
I never tried either. I mean, there was one time in college, but that's not talking about that. So.
And also, like, what does it mean that, like, she's like, oh, I want to be beautiful, and her beautiful transformation is, oh, I'm not wearing glasses anymore. I'm wearing a skin tight dress.
Yeah. It goes back to like
makeup.
It goes back to like the movie She's All That, which they're remaking to He's All That, I believe, right?
I heard about that.
So basically, you're like they turn this ugly person into a gorgeous person. So you're looking at her, and basically, like they put her in big fluffy clothes and glasses, and you're like, she's still gorgeous. Exactly. And then all of a sudden, she makes this wish to be gorgeous, and she takes her glasses off, and she has tights on underneath her fluffy clothes, and she's like sexy. Yeah. Super, like really, super villain now.
She's just more confident.
She's just more confident.
She's just laying out there, like everybody's like talking to her and all that stuff. It's, I don't know.
Because even when they had lunch before she turned to power, she's like, wow, you're really funny and you have great personality and all this stuff. Like I feel like she was like she had those powers already. She just wasn't confident. So basically she wished
she wanted confidence and strength.
Yeah, and strength.
That's what she got.
Yeah. What would you wish for if you had that thing?
Oh goodness. Well, it had to be. I'd be afraid of losing something.
Okay.
What would I lose the most is even more. But
yeah.
What would I want? Because everybody's going for the power and stuff. Which, okay, actually, I'll answer this, but I have a question for you also that you can think about. At the end of the movie, in the middle of the movie, the Pedro Pascal asks his son what he wants for most and all this stuff. Yeah. And I remember this a lot, that throughout the movie, the kid is constantly wishing to be with his dad.
Yep.
But that wish never comes true.
Comes true.
Wouldn't he teleport to his son?
Yes.
Because that's what happened throughout the movie.
He also wished to be like his dad at one point while he was holding.
Why
wouldn't you take the power away from?
Exactly.
That was kind of a weird moment. I'm like, oh, the son's gonna become like the wishing stone now because that's what he wished for. And the funny, like, this is what really annoyed me about this is in the first one, Diane knew every detail about every situation. And she obviously can read any language. And so she sees this, reads it, and she's like, oh, I'm just going to wish on it. Like, you think she would do more investigating into it. And, like, obviously, she has a connection to the gods. She knows, like, I feel like she would know, like, what this thing was without, like...
Yeah.
I feel like that was, like, I'm just going to wish on it just because I love this guy so much. It's almost like the love has, like, fogged her mind of, like, who she was.
That's true. Which says a lot, I think, because I wrote this down. I thought the theme of the movie was desire versus truth. She brings it up a lot. She's truth. She has the lasso of truth, and the crystal was basically desire. I know they used other terms and stuff, but this is what really, like, it was like she wants the guy, but the truth is she's Wonder Woman. She needs to do this. Or Pedro Pascal, he desires power, but the truth is what gives him his power is his son. Yeah, all that stuff. But most of the time that felt kind of flat, which is why bring it back to Pedro Pascal. If they had talked about his character in the beginning, and mentioned what his son was, then you'd be like, oh, because I felt it. I was supposed to be emotional at the end when he sees his son and he's like, you're my real treasure or whatever. But it doesn't work.
Is there no consequence?
Does
for
this
him
guy
either?
not go to prison?
Does he not go to prison for like? Basically all the crap he did.
Which is also kind of... Did you, like, think about it that, like, before he even uses... Because I'll get to the technology, because that thing made no sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't... That's not how it works. It's not like Willy Wonka, where you transfer particles. That's what I was thinking. I'm, like, thinking, like, it's Willy Wonka, where particles go through the air and you transfer... It's like... That's not how it works. Like, you're not literally touching people through TV.
I know.
Like, it was...
But before the entire world knows about his power... There's already chaos. Why is there so much, like, everybody's freaking out. They're doing like seances in the yard and all this stuff. People doing yoga everywhere. There's fiery cars. It doesn't make it. I didn't see why that happened. And then he's decaying, but they don't really tell you why was that the thing he desired most was his health?
Yeah, because
wouldn't you think it was
even
his son?
at the beginning, when he was walking into his office, he's like, "Are my vitamins ready up in my office? Are my pills ready?" So like, does he have an issue with health?
It was something to explore, but they didn't. They were just like, he takes vitamins.
Yeah, he takes vitamins, and so every time he made a wish, as it went on, he would like bleed from his ear, and he would bleed from his nose, and like you're like, what? Okay, why? Or the color of his blood turned. Yeah. It was just really weird. But then at the end, he was like granting everybody's wishes. It was getting more powerful. It felt like it was confusing. Like, it was confusing to me.
Yes.
It felt like they didn't really have okay, we're gonna make this Wonder Woman movie, and we're gonna have a love interest, and we're gonna have this bad guy, and what is he? He's a deception. What's the actual character? Is the bad guy's name?
Pedro Pascal.
No, like his. It's the Duke of Deception. Is it his in the comics? He's the Duke of Deception.
Okay.
That's what he is. I'm a big Wonder Woman fan.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So there's the Duke of Deception, I believe, is the bad guy they're trying to make him out to be, and then obviously Kristen Wiig was a cheetah, which that whole fight scene really made me mad. So I'm just gonna picture. She's swinging from electric wires. Yes. They're like sparking. That's my sparking noise. She's swinging from those things, holding on to electricity, and then the big climax of the fight, she gets electrocuted.
Yes.
Like,
but she's not dead though.
But she's not dead.
So
how is she swinging from electric wires? These giant electric wires. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Kicking butt, and then she gets electrocuted. Doesn't die. It was just
also kind of adult to let your villain just electrocute themselves. Also, why did Wonder Woman not electrocute herself?
Yeah.
She was also in the water.
Yeah.
She had metal armor on.
Yeah. It's because she's a god. Well, I mean, let's just face that.
That's true. She was riding lightning.
Yeah, she was riding lightning.
Which is pretty cool.
That was a cool scene. There was some cool scenes. I mean, not going to say, there were some really good scenes. They did the 1980s very, very well. Lots of 1980s jokes. One of my favorite jokes was the way he found her. Do you remember how he found her?
No.
He looked her up in the phone book.
Oh.
And he's like, the phone book will never go away.
Yep,
just always be important, kind of thing, like 2020.
Which it is not.
That's not important at all.
I could find one.
So yeah, I don't even know if you have ever used have you ever used a phone book in your life?
When I was very little.
Yeah. And so that was a funny joke. He's like, "Oh, I looked you up in the phone book. Something that will never get old." Basically because there was phone books when he was around.
Yeah. And
now there's phone books in the 80s, but soon, not 2020s, there's no such thing as phone books anymore. It's a waste of paper.
But yeah. I think, the movie, it was underwhelming because they were like, we're going to go away from action, we're going to make it character-driven, but then they didn't spend enough time on certain characters.
Yeah.
But the movie was also very long. So you'd figure, there's time to do it, but they spent it in weird places. And it didn't work sometimes. Like, I'll go back to the Cheetah Wonder Woman action scene. I got major Bambi action scene vibes, okay? My beef with the Bambi action scene is when he goes off against the bad buck who's trying to take away his girlfriend.
Yeah.
They look the same, and it's dark. So how are you supposed to know which one's Bambi and which one's not Bambi? If they're the same deer, the same color in the dark. Same thing here. You got Wonder Woman versus Cheetah. It's all grayed out. The whole movie, super colorful. There's reds and blues.
It's the 80s.
But the fight scene...
Lots of leotards, too.
Yes.
Lots of leotards.
That one leotard where she's working out, but she's in a bathing suit. I don't know if that was a style, but usually they have leggings under those. She was just naked.
She was going full, like, I'm this new confident person.
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me. I'm confident. I'm just going to go randomly lift weights.
Break some weights and stuff.
I'm gonna go lift weights because I'm strong all of a sudden.
If she was in that one weight place, the lunk alert would be going off.
Yeah. Planet Fitness.
The Planet Fitness.
Yeah. But it was, and no one really cared.
No,
Everyone,
they were
like you see this little skinny girl just like cleaning 700 pounds, and they're just like in the background all being meatheads. Like, oh yeah, of course she can do that.
I could do that too.
Yeah. Come on, people.
Yeah, I think Kristen Wiig and Pedro Pascal maybe even are a little unnecessary, right? Because they're kind of the same villain. They're both they're desiring power, and they're supposed to face off against Wonder Woman. The only difference is Kristen Wiig is that physical force. Pedro Pascal is the mental guy. And one of them would always take a backseat to the other. I felt if you had given one more time then you maybe could have gotten a better villain out of one of them. But
you could have spent more time building up the character development because you kind of had to do it from.
They were kind of basic.
You never got backstory for her either. Like, why was she so dorky? Why was she like? You never got her backstory. Basically, she got hired a week ago, and no one knew her name, and no one helped her besides Diana. And all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, I'm obsessed with this person because she helped me and went to lunch."
Because this one drunk guy tried to harass me or something.
Went to dinner with me.
It's true, yeah.
And now all of a sudden, she's obsessed with her. Like, is it her first friend she's ever had? Like, what happened to her? You never even get backstory. At the end, we got backstory on the Duke of Deception, Pedro Pascal's character. You get the backstory.
His mom got beat by his dad. He peed the bed.
Yeah, like he, started in this little. No one believed in him. He started in this little tiny thing and built this, facade of a really good business. And his desire was to be a business person. It really should have been in the
beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And Kristen Wiig, like that awkward turned powerful character has happened before.
Yeah.
Even I like Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 2, you have that with Jamie Foxx as Electro, where he's a nerd who likes Spider-Man. Same thing. She's a nerd who likes Wonder Woman. Then Electro turns bad, and he develops a distaste for Spider-Man simply because of some justice, truth thing.
Yeah.
Same thing here. It's just, I feel like you can do it better than just saying, "Hey, they're goofy looking." Like, give me more than just their looks and one weird harassment part. Give me more to make me really like this character.
How did she get 2 wishes too?
That was they changed the rules midway through the thing because Pedro Pascal was like, "You can only wish once," but then at the end he's like, "Wish as much as you want."
Yeah, he's like, "What do you wish for?" And then she wished. So she wished the first time to be like Wonder Woman. I want to be like Diana. She didn't know at the time. She just wanted to be super sexy and cool, basically.
Yeah.
And walk well in heels, which was again really weird.
Big thing in the
but then later in the movie, she wished to be an apex predator, which you're like, okay, she's gonna turn into the cheetah because obviously knowing from the previews and knowing from reading about this movie that Cheetah is going to be a character in this, who is a real life villain. But then she wished to be an apex predator and became a really bad looking cat, like from the terrible movie
from
Cats.
The Cats movie. I really want to see that movie because
Yeah,
I heard it's funny.
It's funny to make fun of, but like she become this apex predator and she lost her sexiness because she's a cat now.
Yep.
She lost
But then.
Lily,
But then at the end of the movie, she turns back into her. So I'm thinking, in terms of sequels, is the Cheetah character done? Because how is she going to wish... The crystal's gone. So, how does she wish to be Cheetah again? I don't see how that can happen.
So, I don't know if they've already announced that they're going to be a third one. I don't know.
I heard that the director said she might not be on board for it.
Okay.
But they might be making it.
She did get paid a lot less than male directors, which is kind of annoying.
Really?
Like 7 times less than a typical male director for a similar film, which is
She's not
frustrating.
Bad. She's a pretty good director.
Yeah, the first movie was outstanding. The second movie was, I'm not going to say it's awful. It was good. If you ask for a score later on, I'll give you my score. I've been thinking about this. But really frustrated me was just the lack of connections, the lack of connecting the dots, like at the end, everything got restored, but there's still garbage all over the place from the riots. Wouldn't that go away too if all the wishes?
True.
Like the wall disappeared, the missiles disappeared, but there's still garbage and cars crashed all over the place. Wouldn't those go back to where they were? It was just a really weird and they had so much time to do this movie, which is frustrating
because it's a long movie. Yeah.
Even the filming process, it was done a year and a half ago. They
could add it.
They could I feel like they didn't. They just want to get it done with, and then
get it out.
And they didn't want to
They were. I do know this COVID thing. James Bond, they haven't been able to release it. I heard they're losing millions a week by not being able to release it. So it's very possible they just need to get Wonder Woman out. Or
COVID's really killed the film industry.
It's screwing up a lot of stuff.
And I love going to the theater and experiencing movies in the theater. I think that movie, that's action movies, are better in theaters. I feel like I would have been, if I was in surround sound, if I was sitting in that big chair, this action might have been popped more. But sitting at home, I may have a nice TV, but I don't have the nicest TV. It's not 4K. It's not surround sound. But I feel like the action scenes would be better in the theater.
Yeah, I see that.
On the big screen, seeing her whip around, riding lightning, doing her cool things. But they did show the human element more. I think that the love story in this than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I guess I was expecting her to kick butt the whole movie, and that's not what happened.
Sadly, I think definitely people will
Yeah.
be somewhat disappointed with that. Also, something I was thinking about, perhaps the heel thing was because cheetahs, they got that big foot, and
Yeah.
it kind of looks like they're wearing a heel. So maybe it was foreshadowing in a
Okay.
very weird way. That might be a reach. I
Huh.
don't know.
Is a cheetah an apex predator too?
No, I don't think so.
Would that be number one?
They're not
Like, I
even the
feel
biggest cat.
like she said, I want to be number one. Like, when do you think
That's like a tiger.
a lion?
Lion, maybe.
Like, I mean, Lion King
The
is like
lioness. You could be.
yeah, lion. Like, when do you think that would be the number one?
Or like a hippo.
If I was an apex predator, I would not think cheetah.
No. Yeah, if she was like, I want to be the fastest.
Yeah, or she wants to
then
be.
you'd okay,
Yeah, I want to be
cheetah.
like a really stealth cat.
Yeah,
But I
that's
wouldn't say
kinda
number one
strange.
apex predator. I would not think cheetah. But maybe that's the way they brought the cheetah character into the film series. I don't know.
All right, you give me your score.
What do you think of the end? The extra scene, by the way. What do you think?
When they brought back older Wonder Woman lady?
Yeah.
Um,
So what's her name? Asteria.
Her name?
Asteria.
Some-
Asteria is and she uses her armor in the story. So this is the beginning of the movie was all built up around her. Like, oh, we do this competition and we want to figure out, which was really kind of a weird. I don't know if it was for like people who didn't see the first movie. Like, oh, this is where they're from. They're all females or warriors, and they had this Olympic like competition.
Yeah.
And obviously Wonder Woman keeps like looking back, and she gets punished for that.
Mhm.
Like, is that the theme of the movie? Like, she was looking back at her love, and she was getting punished for it, and she had to like look forward. It was it was just a weird opening scene to me, and she like obviously doesn't win,
Mhm.
and she's distraught about that, and she's wondering why me, why me, why me. But it was, and this is how they introduce the god pops out, and they're like this. They tell,
Yeah.
like, oh, she's a great goddess, and later on they tell how she's a great goddess, but she's alive at the end.
Yeah.
Like, she's just walking the streets.
Honestly, I don't even think she's coming.
And it's
back. That
Linda
was
Carter,
just-
who was the original Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, which is kind of a fun way to bring her back.
I think that was really just what that was.
Yeah,
It was like, hey, let's give her something
Yeah.
to do.
So will she be in another movie? Because, I mean, it's another god walking around, goddess, Amazonian walking around.
Now that you bring it up, I think it's definitely with DC. I think with all the news that's coming out with DC and Marvel right now, everybody's doing their multiverses and stuff.
Yeah.
I think like the Flash, they're bringing
Yeah.
back Michael Keaton. They're the CW just did stuff where they brought back the Smallville people.
They're bringing back all. They did? Wait, Smallville people are back?
Yeah, well, they were in one of the CW ones.
Oh my gosh, I love Smallville.
I know.
I love Smallville.
So I definitely think, although it seemed like a throwaway fan service thing, that they could probably do it and just say, and just bring people from Wonder Woman back and
Yeah.
all that stuff. I think that beginning scene was, I have a gripe with it because I think it was unnecessary. It was cool, a little bit, but it was
Yeah.
kind of long. It was like 15 minutes, and I think everything that was said in that scene, it was very obvious. They were like, hey, here's the theme. This is this
Yeah.
part. You could have just watched the whole movie, which you were already going to do. So it's
Yeah.
kind of unnecessary, and you could have just spent that time on important stuff that wasn't like, hey, here's just an excuse that we can go back to Wonder Woman land and see all the people you like.
Yeah. I think that's why, if you didn't see the first one, they had to do that.
Yeah.
But, like,
And why are you watching the second one if you haven't seen the first one?
yeah. I'm not that type of person either. I need to watch, like, all of them.
Exactly.
I don't jump into things halfway through. But, yeah. So there is an extra scene at the end, which was kind of, I knew because I looked it up online. I didn't know what it was. I just knew to wait for it. But it wasn't like Luke Skywalker surprise. But,
No.
oh, it's Linda Carter. Wow, look at that. She's...
Yeah. I
don't
mean,
know.
if you're like, if that was big for you,
Yeah,
that was good.
Good for you. Yeah, it was not big for me. It was not. It was like, okay, I want to see a preview of maybe like a new villain popping up.
Maybe that's a thing where the theater experience comes in, though.
Yeah.
If you're watching that in theaters and you see you're with these
Yeah.
Wonder Woman people, they're like, freaking
yeah,
out,
I see
then
opening
maybe you
night.
get into
Yeah,
it.
I
You're
love
like,
seeing movies opening night and see reactions.
Mhm.
So that's part of like gives me the chills, and then we watch this opening night. But it's weird in 2020. Of course, we're watching an open night movie on HBO
on HBO
Max. Like it was just a weird thing for me. I can't wait till we can go back to the theaters and watch a movie in person.
That's true.
My wife, on the other hand, no, she hates.
Well, if we're talking about theater, I definitely think that theaters are probably not going to be the same, but I feel like they're going to be more of an art house experience. Like if you want to go for that experience,
Yeah.
you go for it. But most people are probably going to stay home, and I think that's.
I
Gonna,
won't be one of them. I'll go. I love theaters. I know you do too.
Yes.
So
There's like you can't watch Transformers. You can't watch Transformers
No.
on your TV.
I don't
You gotta
think
see the
yeah.
big thing.
No,
It's just-
100%. And DC needs somebody to oversee their movies like Marvel does. Someone that connects all, because right now they all feel like individual movies, and it's really frustrating. And they keep trying to reboot them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now they're doing the
Justice League.
the Justice
Snyder
League,
cut.
which everyone wanted to begin with, and I heard it's gonna be rated R, but
Yeah.
that's kind of
I heard
crazy.
it's gonna be long, like 5 hours or something.
So, yeah, they just need that overseer, that czar of, because these have some great characters, and just they're always disappointing.
They're honestly, I think the DC characters are kind of hard to do movies on, though. I think Marvel, what they got a leg up on is they all have these similarities in terms of like they're a regular guy who gets a power. How do they deal with that? But the DC movies, they're super iconic characters. So people are even like if you do something weird with Iron Man, less people are going to be freaked out. If you change Superman and make him kill a bunch of people, a lot of people are going to be like, that's not my Superman.
Yeah.
But Superman and all the DC characters, they are very specific. They're basically godlike characters. And if you don't have people who really love those characters, they're probably going to screw them up because they're not going to understand what that character represents.
Like people are like, who the heck are the Guardians of the Galaxy? Most people had no idea who they were, but everyone knows Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. Everyone knows the Flash. Yeah, everyone knows them. So yeah, you're right. I like that. This conversation's been good. It's kind of all over the place of DC and
saying a lot of important stuff.
A lot of important things.
All right, give me your number. What's your score?
All right, are we going out of 10?
Out of 10. I'll give you decimal points too. Give me.
Okay, yeah, I watch Barstool Sports, so I'm not gonna give a flat score.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So based on my love of superhero movies, which I've seen pretty much all of them, I would say this is a 6.8.
All right.
It's not. If I would definitely. Will I watch it again? I don't know.
That's a good
I
point.
feel like anything above a 7, it's rewatchable. I don't think this is. I don't know if I'd be like, oh, I need to go watch that or buy the DVD. Like I own every single Marvel DVD over there. Well, Blu-ray, but
high end.
Yeah, Blu-ray guy. But I don't know.
I kind of want to go a little higher. I feel a little bad because beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, this is cool. They're really trying to go for the character. But then they just floundered at the end. You gave it 6.5?
6.8.
6.8.
Like it, just because they didn't connect the dots.
Yeah.
It was just, the scenes didn't seem connected, and it seemed like they had a lot of question marks. Like, how come the kid didn't get the powers? How come she got 2 wishes? It felt like we're going to throw this thing together and make it really cool, but we're not going to connect the dots. Don't let my score affect your score, though.
I know.
Go with the score you came in with, man. Go with the score you came in.
I'm going to give it 7.
Okay.
7. I thought it was decent. If you watch it, you'll probably be entertained, but you also probably will finish it being like, they could have done so much more, and they didn't. They kind of missed the mark. Like,
I feel like if it's on TBS in 3 years and I flip to it, I'll probably watch it because I love Wonder Woman, and it's really just maybe I'm a little hard on it because I love Wonder Woman so much as a character. I love the strong female leads, and I just after the first movie, I'm comparing it to the first movie. I was just super.
The first movie was really good.
Yeah, and they built the characters up. That's why you felt like when he flew the plane up, you felt that feeling. You're like, oh man.
I thought the stakes were also a lot more interesting in the first one. The second one was like, we're gonna go small, but also we're gonna deal with the whole world's gonna blow up. The first one was like, we just gotta do this thing. But whatever. All right. So we should do this again. I think.
Yeah. What's the next big superhero movie coming out?
I don't even know.
Well, maybe we can do it on the series WandaVision. That's next Disney Plus thing coming out.
January.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you watch Cobra Kai at all. Season 3 comes out January 1st.
I don't watch Cobra Kai.
Oh man, Karate Kid is legendary.
I know.
Oh, I can't believe you don't watch. Oh man.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, we'll find something. But
right.
Sweet.